If you're a 70-something-year-old man and you're constantly talking about how well you did on a cognitive test, you might not be very cognitively aware. Trump goes on and on talking about these cognitive tests in the first term and now in this term. Watch this clip.
The way I took my cognitive exam as part of my physical exam, and I got the highest mark, and one of the doctors said, "Sir, I've never seen anybody get that kind of, that was the highest mark." I hope you're happy with that. Although they haven't been bugging me too much to take a cognitive, but I did do my physical and it was released. I hope you're all happy with it. I notice there's no question, so probably you are. But the cognitive, they said to me, "Sir, would you like to take a cognitive test?" I said, "Did Biden take one?" "No." "Did anybody take one?" "No, not too many people took them." I said, what about,
Okay, this is enough. I mean, this is insane. This is the president of the United States making up fake conversations that never happened between him and a doctor, where the doctor says, "We've never seen somebody do this well on a cognitive test," the way he says cognitive. It's insane. Meanwhile, while Papa delusional Delulu Trump is out there talking about acing his cognitive tests, Steve Bannon is working tirelessly to try to get Trump a third term. Watch this.
I haven't said we're going to amend the Constitution. We're working on 5 or 6 different alternatives that President Trump could run again and be president. And quite frankly, I think 4 or 5 of them are going to work. And I continue to say, as I told Bill Maher, on the afternoon of January 20th of 2029, Donald Trump's going to be president for his third term.
Okay, as crazy as that sounds, we need to take this very seriously, because that's what the people in Trump's orbit are doing. That's what they did when he genuinely lost in 2020. They worked as hard as they possibly could to make sure that he won in 2024. Right now, all of these crazy wacko MAGA cultists are machinating nonstop 24/7, trying to figure out a way to break the Constitution so that if he lives that long, he can have a third term. So my question here now is, what are the Democrats doing to prevent this from happening? Are we always going to be sitting here playing defense, or do we have some crazy, obsessed, myopically focused people that are focused on how we can win and how we can make sure this doesn't happen? And I'm not so sure that we have that. And that's what terrifies me, because Trump has an army of these nutbags that are sitting here trying to break things. And speaking of nuts and breaking things, here's J.D. Vance with some breathtaking xenophobia and complete lying on tape.
Talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran. Maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK, since Labour just took over.
Okay, so this clip is older, but I want to tell you how incredibly xenophobic that is and how dismissive that is to a sovereign country, and that this is what American foreign policy has turned into, is this ridiculous, immature, name-calling, wannabe tough guy. But here's what's so fascinating about J.D. Vance. His wife is Indian, of Indian descent. She is a Hindu. She is a vegetarian. I don't give a shit about this stuff, but apparently he does. And all of the people that are in his orbit care about this kind of thing. If you're going to make fun of other people based on their religion, or what country they've immigrated to or migrated to, or what their nationality is, and then think that people are not going to come after your wife and your kids, you're feeding a beast that will end up being your own destruction. This is completely insane. But J.D. Vance clearly thinks the rules that apply to everybody else don't apply to him, that he can hate and be a racist with impunity, and that somehow that's not going to backfire on his wife and kids. Okay, next up, this is a video that is just wild. This is out of Russian TV. And despite Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, everybody doing every single thing that Putin wants them to do, they still get eviscerated and ridiculed relentlessly in Russian TV. Okay, so he says here, in 2 months, he'll be 79 years old. And unlike Biden, his dementia manifests differently. That is, through verbal diarrhea and the need to show his domestic audience every day that he is a super macho. He needs a big, flashy victory. This is Russian media right now eviscerating Donald Trump, eviscerating him, this need to be macho. And this is what Putin does to him, which begs the question, why is our entire federal government completely bending the knee to Putin? Could you imagine if he's mad at 60 Minutes for reporting the truth? Will Trump ever call out Russian media for this, saying he's a wannabe macho guy? Is he going to call out Russian TV? I doubt it, because when it comes to Russia, their lies, their media, their war, Trump is clearly on the side of having his head rammed up Putin's ass. So this is just wild that the people who he bends the knee to, he sells our country right down the river for Russia, then he is 100% in bed with Russia, and then the Russian media just rips him a new one. Okay, and then here's a video of Trump, who now is a full-blown authoritarian. Here he is on Fox talking about how great it would be to send American citizens born in the United States to a concentration camp in El Salvador. You've got to hear this. This is incredibly dangerous.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes,
I mean, the homegrowns, the ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have, and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
He said he would love to do that, send the homegrowns to El Salvador. An American president of the United States of America just said that he wants to send American citizens to a concentration camp in El Salvador. It cannot be overstated that we are at that Rubicon, that we are here, that we have a dictator who does not have empathy, who does not have a sense of human decency, rule of law, or social justice. And what I have to say to Americans is, if you elect a corrupt, convicted felon, you get a corrupt government. Corrupt governments tend to have bad economy. And let me give you a very simple example. If you found out that the president of a bank was once found guilty of robbing the bank, the customer's deposits 34 times, you wouldn't put your money there. And that's what's going to happen to the American economy. Not to mention that tariffs on again, off again, on again, off again. But in general, investors, American companies, foreign companies are not going to want to do business with a corrupt government that doesn't value human beings, that will send its own citizens to a concentration camp. And this is very much like Nazi Germany. And I want to remind you guys, what's so interesting about Nazi Germany is not that Nazi Germany was so evil. It's that everyday Germans succumbed to being Nazis. And what Trump is doing by saying that, by starting to roll this out, this is propaganda. He's preparing the public that he is going to start deporting American citizens abroad to concentration camps. This is insanity. It is beyond the pale. And then in his administration, they're always doing things to distract. It's either propaganda or distraction. And I will just never get over this. I'm never going to get over that we have Kristi Noem, who continues to cosplay. Please put up the headline. Kristi Noem's photo ops have put her at odds with DHS employees who say she's acting more like a chief spokesperson than a director guiding agency operations, according to a new report. It goes on to say, ICE Barbie keeps creating all kinds of headaches for Homeland Security. And I think this is just so demeaning and degrading to the people who have those jobs, who trained for those jobs, who are skilled to have those jobs, who put in the work, who put in the grit to have Kristi Noem prance in there, put on a costume, and make sure it's photographed. I think that is the utmost disrespect that a boss can pay her very qualified, highly specialized employees to say, your job doesn't mean anything. I can put on the costume and be photographed doing it too. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's disgraceful. I think this entire administration is breaking America. Hopefully, we can not get to the point of no return, but it seems like we just keep heading that way. And so now is a time to engage. Now is a time to be engaged online. If there are protests in your local area, make sure you stay active in comment sections. And remember, we have to band together. Please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get to 1 million subs, and I'll see you all later.